Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hello.
Welcome to Mile a Minute Movie Talk, episode 13. We got it right this time.
13. Lucky number 13.
Lucas and I have been very busy watching a lot of movies. So much so that we are now a day away from the end of January, as of the recording of this video, and we've yet to talk about movies from December.
Oh boy.
So, Uh, there's been a lot going on. Obviously, we missed Christmas and New Year's and Golden Globes and Oscar nominations. There's been a lot happening. So, Lucas and I have a lot to talk about. I think we're just going to start from the top and rewind time a little bit and share everything we watched in December.
Yes, December.
Because Lucas watched nearly twice as many films as I did, I'm going to allow him to lead the way and do 2 movie discussions per my one. We will do our best so that it almost seems like we watch the same amount of movies and he's not just talking about movies for 30 minutes straight.
Hey guys, welcome to the Lucas podcast. No, on that note, the first 2 movies I watched were both with you, so that's gonna knock out both of your first 2 movies. Um,
Yes.
unless you want me to skip around.
No.
We'll go
We
for it.
have to do it chronologically. It was
Chronological
destined. It is
order.
fate.
What else would you want to watch on December 1st than from acclaimed director John Woo, Silent Night?
Do-do.
Do Dylan liked this a little bit more than me. I'd say. Um, I think the idea of a non-dialogue action movie goes well if there's action, and the first 45 minutes there is no action. So it's kind of them trying to tell this story. Um, outside of the first like 10 minutes like action intro, it's a lot of them trying to tell the story of like this area and blah 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 and what happened without any actual dialogue. So that kind of got annoying after like 30 minutes. But once his plan went into action, it got pretty good. I really liked the soundtrack in this movie. I thought it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Like electronic, like dark wave kind of style music. There's like a Grimes song in there too. It's kind of cool. But yeah, the the action was great. Choreography was great. Once it gets to that part, it's really worth it. I enjoyed all of that. What's his name was whatever in the film. The supporting actor, which his name is Kid Cudi.
Yes.
Um, forget his real name.
Scott Miscuddy.
Yeah, Detective Dennis Vassell. So yeah, he was fine. Yeah, I didn't even know it was him at first, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Kid Cudi. He kind of looks small. They framed him very like a small person at points. And then Joel Kinnaman's great. I wish that he was in more action roles. He's great. But yeah, really cool lighting, really cool shot. All the action stuff was great. It just that kind of slog at first did not do it for me.
Yeah. A Silent Night, I thought the gimmick of it was very interesting, and that kind of kept my interest throughout the film. I just wanted to see how they could utilize the effect of no sound or no voices, dialogue. Um, how they can go around telling their story like that, because visual storytelling to me is like one of the most like hardest things to do in a film effectively, and when it's done effectively, it really does elevate most films to a whole nother level. So the fact that this was kind of the goal of this film was just really fascinating. And I do think it was not the best film overall, but just a very enjoyable action film as a whole. And I didn't I didn't really have a lot of issues with it other than some of the things Lucas pointed out. I do think, yeah, it does drag for a little bit because it can only do so much with this premise. So it kind of feels like they're stretching the runtime.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say if you're an action fan, if you're a John Woo fan, it is 100% worth watching just for that.
Yeah.
For anyone else, like looking for like a really serious, well done film, like maybe skip it. I don't know. I'd say it's entertaining though.
Yeah, it's a pretty just schlocky action film.
Yeah,
That's pretty much the best you can say about it. Like fun, dumb action film.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then right after that, that night we watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Or sorry, Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Wow.
Yeah. That was pretty fun. It's an out there kind of like story, very like all over in like what they're doing. There's like a lot of things, a lot of characters, and you kind of got like follow it along differently. But I was definitely into it. Obviously, really good actors, ones that you've seen if you've watched a lot of like Korean cinema. King O Song, Jung Woo Sung, are the two that I remembered most. But there was just really well done action scenes. The story, like the characters talking at points, kind of just went on for too long, and the movie felt like it could have been shorter in that aspect. But the story, what they were telling, was great, and just the action scenes were well done. There's kind of like a at the end, there's kind of like a Mad Max Fury Road action scene, but like
Mm.
set in like 19 whatever early 1900s Mongolia, which was really fun, or Manchuria. And yeah, it was very like my description was kind of like a mummy light, like even though it's not about, it doesn't really have a horror aspect, it doesn't really have like a treasure aspect. It kind of really had that like mummy light feel of them going to like different locations in like a desert area and having this like wacky adventure.
Yeah, it this is one that had been anticipating watching for many years. I think it
Mm-hmm.
is 2008 is the release. It's a Korean film, South Korean. Um, I just really thought on paper it kind of gave me like a kind of like a Stephen Chow vibes, like some
Mm-hmm.
sort of Shaolin soccer shenanigans, Kung Fu Hustle shenanigans. I was
Yeah.
kind of really looking for that, and I feel like we got a little bit. Um, the
Yeah.
fact that it was kind of more westerny was really cool. Great production value, and I think at the time, if I had seen it like probably when it came out, I might have had more of a connection with it. I think this time maybe it didn't, maybe not meet my expectations, but I did enjoy it. It was a fun enough film, an interesting enough film. Um, but I agree with you that there were times where it felt like it kind of was just taking too long to get where it wanted to go.
Exactly. Yeah. It kind
Yeah.
of was like there's a lot of drivel and a lot of things just like characters didn't really need to say. Like it was trying to be like have this more methodical or like philosophical like dialogue and like a commentary on some stuff that it just really didn't need to have. And nothing that I can even recall because I just remember like all the scenes that were pretty fun. But yeah, I you've seen some of the directors of their films. I saw The Devil and Tale of Two Sisters, I think, right? You've seen
I've
both of
definitely seen.
those?
I saw the devil, and I forgot that. Yeah, and oh yeah, I've seen that as well. Tale of Two
Yeah,
Sisters. I
yeah, they're both
forgot that
from
he did
him.
both of them.
Yeah, yeah. So this is definitely one of his better ones, but I feel like those are definitely that's kind of like his area. That's really good that he does stuff in is like thrillers,
Yeah,
thrillers, horror
the
adjacent.
thriller, or like the more just like raw, like realistic horror
Hmm.
of that could happen in life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard about his new film though that is coming out this year that I'm really excited for called Cobweb, and it's about like a 1970s Korean director making a movie. So
Oh, so that's separate from the most recent Cobweb film we just
yeah,
saw.
that was a July 2023 horror film. This is called Cobweb, but it's a Korean film by him, and it's supposed to be like about directing. I don't know how the tone is. I haven't seen anything on it, but it sounds interesting.
From the poster, I'm intrigued. It's
Can't
for
go song
refer.
in it though.
Oh yeah, so Parasite.
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So for
that'll be fun.
reference, those of you who are not familiar, this is director Kim Ji Woon. Uh, so yeah, he's done quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely one of the better modern Korean directors. Top three, top five.
Well, let's see. You did take my first two picks
Yeah.
as you foresaw,
Haha.
but but I have one that I don't know if you've actually seen, or if
Okay.
you have, it's been a
Okay.
long time.
Let's see.
I, for the first time, finally sat down and watched To Kill a Mockingbird,
Oh.
which I had known about this film for obviously forever, but
Mm.
I never read the book, never seen the film. I bought the 4K on Blind Buy because I had heard it was going to be great, and I had went solely on a recommendation from Movie Lens that it was a must watch. And yeah, it's a very powerful, very well made film. Looks gorgeous, 4K restoration. Um, there's not a lot I can add to the table on this one because for those of you familiar with it, but um, it's definitely a movie with a lot of interesting lessons, and that still holds true to today with Atticus Finch as a person. He, the famous conversation he has with, I believe, his daughter in the film about, um, how like a man or a person should be judged for the content of their character, not the color of their skin, or all of that. Like there's so much in the film, so many famous lines of dialogue and
Yeah.
scenes. Like Barack Obama was a huge fan of this film, and he like screened it like sometime after his inauguration and had like all these people watch it. And
Yeah, it was very revolutionary at the time. It was like 40s, right? Early 50s?
1962.
Oh, 62, geez. Still pre-civil rights. That was 65 or 66. So, um, that that is still, it was definitely poignant. It was like a talking point back then, so it was very important for like that to come out. Um, and I feel like the black and white color kind of helps the film as
Mm.
well because there was, I think, color film at that time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think
Just
it definitely
starting to.
helped. It definitely helped like the kind of the message of that film and stuff. Yeah, I think I saw it in high school. It's been a while. But yeah, I obviously enjoyed it. It's like a classic and very, very good, well done message, universally and very poignant at the time and still in America.
Yeah, just 100% a timeless movie that I would say everyone needs to see at least once.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely one of the important pieces of cinema.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip my next movie because we saw it literally like a week later from when I saw it the first time, which is Godzilla Minus One.
Okay.
And this is going to be the quickest one I'm going to talk about today, which is Ted 2.
Ah.
I watched Ted 2 when I was drinking with my friends at their house. And it's funny because I didn't know the Ted show was going to come out, so it kind of was a refresher for that. But yeah, I saw Ted 2. It's dumb, fun, no substance at all, just some dumb skits, great beats. The one where Ted's in like a wife beater and having a marital dispute with his wife is great. There's just, yeah, it definitely goes way more further in this one than the first one, I think, in like jokes. Like they kind of go like more out there, not in like offensiveness or anything like that. They just kind of just do the weirdest stuff. Like it's very much Seth MacFarlane riffing. My favorite's the Jonah Hill joke. I forget who it's like. And the next like James Bond or um, Bourne is Jonah Hill, and then it's just Mark Wahlberg in the convention screamer center just screaming "fuck" just really loud. It's just a bunch of dumb fun. That one, it's great. I did watch a show too. Shows about as what did you expect for more two, and a little bit builds on it than one. I didn't like one that much, which I did rewatch in January after watching the show. So I'll talk about that eventually.
I,
And then the night after watching Ted 2, I watched Reality, the 2023 film starring Sydney Sweeney. And this one kind of flew under the radar last year. And there's going to be 2 more movies that are coming out about this exact incident, which is very weird that they're already making 3 movies about a former what is it? Not FBI agent. She was an Air Force veteran, and then she was a contractor for the government. Her name was Reality Winner, and in 2017 she leaked some things that were like going on in the government legally. She was like a whistleblower of some sort about it, and this movie is more about not her, but the events of her being caught, and it immediately it's a re it's like a play essentially you're watching of her coming home from groceries, and it's the complete transcript of the FBI agents interviewing her about the whole situation and then eventually arresting her. She's about to get out on her sentence, I think next year. But yeah, it was she leaked the classified documents about the Russian interference in the 2016 election that wasn't known. That's what it's about. Sydney Sweeney was really good in this. I watched it for her, and she's not like you know how you will see her in like some of her other movies, very like femme fatale or just like a very like female, male gaze designed character. She's very much a woman that is like acting, and she's playing a real person, and she's really good in it. And it definitely helps her like build up her chops as like an actress. I feel it wasn't anything special. You're kind of just like inside a house and outside a house, and she's just reenacting the transcript. But it's really cool how they do it. At some shots, they'll like fast forward, and they'll kind of like change out like when the redacted stuff happens, like people will disappear. It's kind of cool. So it's a pretty interesting way of telling it. But yeah, it's like 83 minutes. It says so. It was pretty short, pretty sweet. It was the first film from this director as well. So I enjoyed it. It wasn't anything crazy, but I liked Sydney Sweeney. She was a good actress in it. Very much almost a chamber piece because it's all set inside and outside her house.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if you considered it that. I this one I feel like I saw the poster somewhere, but definitely forgot about it, and I don't recall Sydney Sweeney being in it, and I think that's a very interesting role for her to take on specifically for the reasons you outlined. So
Yeah.
that's one I could see myself just like if I come across it on Max one of these days, just
Yeah,
like
that's where I watch it. I was like, I think I saw someone bring it up on Twitter, and I was like, oh, it's 83 minutes. I'll throw that on. I'm kind of tired tonight, but I want to watch a movie, so I put it on, and I was like, oh, that's pretty fun. Next up, I
let's
have
see.
another movie that you'll be able to comment on because you saw it in January. It is
Oh,
The Holdovers.
okay.
I saw this midday, and it was very nice. Very cozy film. Um, just the technical aspects of it are great. Shot on film. It was edited like a 70s film, so they used a lot of the things that are very popular at that time. Certain things like a crash zoom, dissolve transitions, slow fade transitions, stuff like that. It's very, very lived in. It was almost feels kind of like how Robert Eggers goes to such lengths in his films to make them very realistic for the time. This was like really done that way for the 1970s. It kind of has that warmth to it on screen as well as just in general, and it's very, very much just a fun film to watch. It does have serious tones in it, but it's just so fun. It was very nice to be in there, and you just kind of get sucked into the film because you're like really get really into these characters. Definitely one Oscar snob. I feel like the child, the
Dominic
young
Sessa.
lad. I'm good blanking out.
Dominic Sessa.
Dominic Sessa, who got this role because they were filming it at his school, and they were like, "Oh, well, it's a postgraduate college acting school," and he was like, "Oh, we'll interview the people that go to the school," and he got it out of like 300 people, but only like 10 of them were from the school, so he was going up against real actors, which is crazy. Paul Giamatti obviously is nominated, hopefully he wins, and Divine Joy Randolph I think should win as well. But yeah, definitely some of the best performances this year. Um, Definitely it's their film less than the directors, and the directors had some stuff happen, blah blah blah. I don't really want to delve into that. I just really like this film. It definitely is like, it feels like a product of the 70s and very much embodies a lot of the films from that, and it was just really well made all around, and the performances really elevated this because you could have had other people in this and then it just not hit as much, but I'm glad that Paul Giamatti's finally getting like the praise more that he deserved in more other roles. He's only been nominated twice, as we know. One of these is this, and the other one is Cinderella Man. Everybody, Cinderella Man, not
Yes, not
Sideways,
sideways.
not
Lucas and
Sideways.
I found this out tonight at trivia.
Well, no, I knew it wasn't Sideways. I just couldn't remember Cinderella Man.
Yeah, that's what I
Everyone
thought.
else did not know. We went to a movie trivia tonight, but yeah, I was I definitely feel like he should have been nominated multiple times. But yeah, Paul Giamatti's great in dramatic roles and great in comedic roles, and that is both in this movie. So yeah.
Yeah, the holdovers. Yeah, I actually just recently saw that. I saw it in the theater, still playing, and I was, yeah, I had a lot of anticipation and high expectations for it. Because I'd heard everyone saying it was such a great film, and I wasn't sure at first whether it was a movie that really starts off a certain way, and then it slowly kind of like tucks you in and takes you on a specific journey, and as it goes on it really develops into something else, and that's one thing I really liked about it. It had so many themes beyond just the fact that it was like a cozy Christmas time movie. It had
Yeah.
it had like lots and lots of things to say about um, like mental health and grief
Then like
and
power and stuff and like that system, especially like the learning and academics in that time as well.
yeah, and I think of course the way it was filmed, it was just such a great production value. The way it opens as if it's a film that was actually made in the 70s, and of course the filter, that whatever lens they use throughout the film to make it
Mm-hmm.
look like there's like little bits of dirt and
Yeah,
of course
I
grain.
forgot the intros too. They had the old logos for the companies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's such great filmmaking on display. I think the performances are, of course, the highlight. I had not seen anything with Divine Joy Randolph, so I was very impressed by her, and I agree that she and Paul Giamatti should win. I would love to see that.
yeah,
I think Dominic Sessa was a great first timer as well. It would have been awesome to see us like just a surprise Oscar nom there, but
yeah.
that was definitely um, like a going to be a tough call to make on their part.
Yeah, I feel like he'll definitely win like the important awards for him, which will be like the Indie Spirit Awards for like best new actor and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like stuff like
Yeah.
that is definitely, especially because it's his first film he's been in. He's only been like a stage actor, and he's only like 19 or something, so he's like
Mm.
pretty young.
And I think it's definitely a movie that most people that have enjoyed it are going to continue to watch it. Like people I keep hearing are just saying this is like their new annual watch. And for
Yeah.
me especially, I think there aren't a lot of Christmas movies that really dive deep into some of the more sad or more difficult things people actually deal with during Christmas. So
Hmm.
I think for me now, based on where I'm at in my life, that this might be one of my go-to Christmas films. So I'm really looking forward to revisiting it.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, same as well. I definitely want to show it to my family. And your turn.
All right, so I watched a classic Stanley Kubrick film, Full Metal Jacket.
Nice.
I said it that way because some of you who know this film is Vincent D'Onofrio, who was a Section 8 by that point, um, says it in that tone.
Yeah.
Anyway, Full Metal Jacket. It's one hell of a film. It's a film that's very difficult to watch at times, particularly in the first act, which I think is the strongest part of the film.
Yes.
The first half to the first act is all about these Marine Corps gentlemen, Army.
Hmm.
Trying blanking out on the exact uh,
Marine.
Marine, and their sergeant is this super duper hard ass that's basically just like there to put them through this horrible hazing and
Yeah, it's very
like
much like a commentary on like kind of like that like masculinity of the army as well as like the military industrial complex at the time and how they treated, I mean obviously all these guys are drafted, um most of them. And like it's very much obviously showing like what they go through even before they deal with war. There's like trauma and a lot of mental problems that like people can be subjected to, especially because you're pretty much being exposed to sanctioned bullying and abuse. And there's literally no way you can get out of it unless you want to go to jail at the time, unless you wanted to like run off to Canada. So it's very like very kind of stark, dark reality that a lot of young men faced in the 70s.
yeah. And if someone hasn't seen it out there, I won't spoil it, but there's definitely a way that people do try to get out of that situation.
Hmm.
But it's a film that really doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of that. And the performances are so good. Vincent D'Onofrio, as I said, who many will recognize as these days as Kingpin in the Daredevil originally Netflix series, now Disney Plus.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, some of the other people actually that people won't
The
recognize, but
Yeah,
would
the
be
lead actor, he's Stranger Things.
yeah, Matthew Modine when he was young, Adam
Hmm.
Baldwin, R. Lee Ermey the sergeant. Most people recognize him from this role specifically. Oh, and
Or
then
Texas Chainsaw,
the
the bad ones, the 2000,
also
2003.
also a surprise. I can't recall his name. I'm looking at the cast right now, but he played one of the leads in Firefly.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so it's it'll come to me later when it's your turn. I'll go back to that.
yeah.
But yeah, just, a must-watch film from Kubrick. I won't say it's his best, but it's definitely one of the best.
Yeah. I feel like you touched on pretty much the thing. Is like kind of in the second half, it kind of gets a little bit down from how high of a just like gripping like piece of film, piece of work it was in the first. And you kind of a lot of these Vietnam films get compared with each other, Platoon and Apocalypse Now. And this
Yeah.
is the least war
Mm-hmm.
out of like all three of the like big ones if you're calling those the big three. And so it kind of gets those parts you never really see like the second half of the movie when people talk about it or show stuff about it. It's usually that first half when they're in the
Yeah.
boot camp, but it gives like a great representation of that. And it's cool that they got like a real drill sergeant to be in. He was a really good actor, and then he became an actor. So that was
Yeah,
rad.
and it was. I think the thing people there's not a lot of films like this that I've seen, but people say that the first film, or the first act, or the first half is essentially a different movie,
Mm-hmm.
and that's I think what makes it so challenging when you get to the second half because you feel like you went on a certain journey and all of a sudden it's like a new film in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a part A and part B, essentially.
Yeah.
So then from there, it's back to me. Ball's in my court, so I'm thinking of ending things.
Oh no.
So Charlie Kaufman, I don't know if he has sought professional help, but he very much does a lot of movies like this. Great writer, written some of my favorite films, and really I wouldn't say hit or miss director. I did not like his like real like first debut,
What film?
Anomalisa.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I didn't like Anomalisa. Not a fan of it. I did like I'm not thinking of ending things. Or I'm not. Sorry. I'm
You
thinking
are
of ending
thinking.
things. Yeah, I'm thinking of ending things. I really did like this. I kind of got mixed reviews at the time. Uh some people really didn't like this and some people really did like this. It's very it has a lot going on, and it's kind of
Mhm.
like not to spoil anything. There's still a lot going on. You kind of have to like decipher it yourself. There's like you can read stuff after. I always like to read like reviews and see what the reviewers say, what they think's going on, blah blah blah. It's always like great to see different opinions uh compared to the conclusion that you came to. There's a lot of just like when they go to the house in the movie, when you watch it, they go to Jesse Plemons' house, Jesse Buckley, and she's already thinking about breaking up with him, and so that's like a big plot point, and that's kind of like where it goes off from that point. But it doesn't feel like any movie that you've really seen. It feels like there's horror, there's something coming, and I feel like you kind of have that, but also the message in the title is kind of overbearing at times, and you're trying to decipher how they're trying to represent what that is. um you like are they thinking of ending things in like their relationship, or like are they like have suicidal ideation, something like that. And it's very much interesting to see how the characters deal with it mentally as well as in the movie, and like the visuals are representing some of their thoughts and like their thought processes, and like is this even actually happening, and just it's there's just a lot going on. But I really liked it, I really enjoyed it. I think at the time it was just like a really good film to watch for like what I was just going through, and I really enjoyed uh the journey you go on in it. And my favorite part, I think, is there's a thing at the end. I'm not going to spoil it, but Kaufman has said how much he hates A Beautiful Mind as a film, and he kind of just riffs on how much he hates A Beautiful Mind as a film at the end, and that was kind of funny at a point. But yeah, that was overall it was pretty great. It was pretty great. I enjoyed it. but I definitely can see how this film was not for everyone, and a lot of people would probably turn it off after 40 minutes.
Yeah. So I saw that in 2020
Mm-hmm.
when it came out on Netflix. I was really interested in it, and I think I gave it. It might be in one of my best of the years, but I definitely enjoyed it a lot and gave it solid 4 out of 5. But
Yeah, yeah, you
it's a
gave it a
film.
4.
It's a film that I don't. I still remember particular scenes and lines of dialogue, and I do think it's one of Jesse Buckley's best performances. One that I did perhaps want to revisit at some point. But yeah, I remember it being very um, kind of like harder to follow, but in the way that intentionally obscure a lot of scenes and things to make it hard to follow to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And but I like that. I think that
Yeah.
it kept things really interesting. Like you said, it's one of those films that leaves a lot to interpret and leaves you to want to do your own research and figure out what something meant. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely excited for. I think Kaufman has one coming out this year or something. Or was that last year? Or is this not even a feature length film? Yeah, I feel like he has something he's writing or doing. But yeah, I am. I definitely like checking out everything that he's done. You know, I love his written stuff, Adaption, Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Being John Malkovich, Sindoche, New York.
he has something called Jackals and Fireflies.
Yeah, it's a short film.
Oh, I see.
And then I did not like Anomalisa. Sorry, even I feel like it's the bad things from I'm thinking of ending things as a film, and it's just weird. Too not like in a bad way, it's just like it's just weird, and like I just feel like I'm watching to some old dude ramble through his like midlife crisis in a non-interesting way, and that's kind of how I felt watching that. Next I have another kind of not similar, but kind of weird in a similar way. Dream Scenario 2023. We watched this together. Uh,
Yes.
so Christoph Borgli. I've seen one of his other films more recently called Sick of Myself. That's a January movie I watched. But Dream Scenario, Nick Cage, shot on 16 millimeter. I went into this with higher expectations. I did enjoy it. It didn't get as weird as I thought it would. Obviously, you feel like it's gonna get really weird. Nick Cage and dreams, but it wasn't. It was very more like grounded and kind of like the ideas it was trying to represent of like reality versus like what you want, and kind of like this this newfound kind of celebrity that happens to this guy, kind of like going like viral essentially, to Nick Cage's character, and he's kind of a failed academic. He's teaching at like a local college, and his people have stolen his work and stuff like this, so he's very like angsty, and he feels like he's wrong from the world, and so now that he has this power, he's kind of like trying to use it in a way, and then everything goes wrong. And it was pretty interesting. I liked it. I think the runtime was just about right, 140, and an hour 40, and I think that was good for it. I think anything longer kind of would have just felt too much. But I definitely, watching his character arc is very sad. You kind of trying to empathize and sympathize, but like also kind of see the wrongs with him, and you're kind of like, what would I do in this situation? But he is in a very specific situation that's hard to kind of decipher as what you do in that position. And so, but it's very interesting. I love the way it was shot. I love the dream sequences. Um, the the dialogue was just awesome. Michael Cera cameo, great. Did not know he was going to be in this, and he always does his dumb kind of role that he'll do every now and then as like a one-dimensional a-hole or whatever, and he's great. Adam Brody kind of has a character like that in American Fiction, um, and yeah, I enjoyed this. I don't say I enjoyed it in a different way than I thought I would. It not being as weird and crazy out there, but uh, Borgli has a specific style of writing and comedy in his films, and after seeing more of his films, I've realized that, and so I definitely see it going back and thinking about this film, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, Dream Scenario. Yeah, one of my favorites of the year. It was definitely one of my favorite Nick Cage performances.
Hmm.
It's such an interesting character. Another one of those performances I felt should have gotten more attention from the Academy. Um, I think the one thing I really enjoyed about the film was definitely the dream situations
Yeah.
early on, because everyone is seeing him in their dreams, like almost literally everyone except him. He's not having them. But I love how they set them up. You see him just showing up out of nowhere in the descriptions and the way people are having these dreams. But then there's a particular one I will say that's more intimate that really elevated the film on a humor level,
Hmm.
and kind of the crescendo of the humor in the film. At From that point on, I feel like the film gets very dramatic and actually very sad, and so I think it takes a
Yeah.
yeah, it takes a certain turn that I wasn't expecting, but I didn't mind.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't mind. I feel like it fit the character and kind of not a boy who cried wolf, but like, you know, somebody who saw signs and people told him not to do things and he did them anyway, and then he now has to deal with those consequences and live in that world. And that's pretty much what his character turns into.
Yeah, I
Um,
enjoyed it a lot though. It was
yeah.
really good.
Okay, so that was me. Now you.
Okay. Well, this next one we did see together, and that was a pick from Aaron. Shout out to Aaron. Movie
Oh, I know
night.
what this is.
We watched The Ref, a movie from 1994, kind of your adult Christmas movie.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
very much.
Definitely made for adults. Very dark humor, kind of black comedy,
Hmm.
um, starring, drumroll please, Dennis Leary and Judy Davis and Kevin Spacey.
Ooh. Wah,
People you pretty
wah,
much
wah.
never see in movies anymore.
I
Directed by
wonder
Ted
why,
Demme.
Dylan. I wonder why you don't see him. Don't worry,
Yeah,
he did a video with Tucker Carlson in December, like right after this.
I but yes, this is one of those movies where, as much as you don't care for certain people like Kevin Spacey anymore, you realize, man, he was a great actor.
Yeah, I feel like unless they did like okay, he did something terrible. But like I feel like I'm not giving him money and we like watched this from like a Blu-ray or something or whatever. And
Right?
it's like I can watch a movie with him and be like obviously he's not a good person, but you know,
You
he
can
fits the
separate the
film.
art from the
Yeah.
artist.
Yeah, in certain situations like if I'm not going to actively give money to the guy, like I'm not going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to go see a movie by Kevin Spacey now." I'm
Yes,
gonna pirate it at home if I'm really interested. But um, but yeah, this film was fun. It was not as funny as I thought, and it definitely fits those Home Alone kind of like vibes. But in like a lesser sense. But yeah, it was pretty fun. J.K. Simmons' first movie, I think, first role, feature film. He was did a lot of theater, and then he did this, and then also shout out SF State fellow alumni BD Wong as the therapist.
that's
Fun
right.
eclectic cast. Just it's a very much witty banter dialogue film. Very fun. I don't think there's much else to say. I would say it's a good, watch it once and then you see if you like it or not. It's not going to let you down, and if you can get past Kevin Spacey, it's pretty fun. Dennis Leary definitely makes the movie um, the most. He's definitely a great character. Judy Davis definitely is like underrated and just really good in this movie as well.
I think it was really the strongest aspect I kept noticing throughout the film was the script. It's
Mm-hmm.
really well written, really good delivery on all the actors, and just a great um, surprising amount of humor that was really smart humor, and beyond just the like crudeness of like the nagging couple situation.
Yeah.
So, and then let's see, before I go on to my next one, which I know you're eager to talk about, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, so go back 3 days from when we watched The Ref, and I saw Little Women for the first time. Missed it
Ah,
in theaters, and then I don't know why I was just like, I don't want to watch another Greta Gerwig movie right now, and then I just like didn't. I just forgot about it after the Oscars, and then Alamo Drafthouse had like a morning showing at 11 before I worked one day. I was like, oh, I'll go see it in theaters. That'll be a fun time. And then I got very teary eyed. Uh, My review of it was the GIF of or the scene of Always Sunny where Danny DeVito says, "Oh my God, I get it." Uh, that was me watching this movie. It's very much a beautiful film. Really good adaptation of it. Definitely changes some aspects, obviously, but I really enjoyed it. I loved it. Um, it was so well done. Just every aspect. The performances are great. I mean, you have just random people popping up left and right. But yeah, Florence Pugh's like pretty much, I think, breakout in like Hollywood role, if I remember. Because she did
Yeah,
like Midsummer, and that was kind of like her like cult horror role, and then
this
she
was her
kind of
first
like
Academy
yeah,
recognition.
yeah, this was like that. Obviously, Saoirse Ronan. Where have you gone? You're coming back this year, hopefully. Heard your new movie's good. Great. Emma Watson. You know, she's not in too much nowadays. She was great. And I mean, obviously, Laura Dern's their mom, Bob Odenkirk, Chris Cooper, who we could not remember earlier. Also,
Oh,
we're hitting a lot of our trivia mistakes so far.
yes,
Yeah, it's just a great cast, great script. I think Greta Gerwig is definitely underrated in script writing, though she has been nominated. Um, I definitely think it's her best directed film. I really like Lady Bird, but I think that this is still my favorite one of hers. I'm not a huge fan of her early work. Uh, or I do like Frances Ha, but I feel like I can't really rewatch it as much. But this and Lady Bird, I think, are like great. And I think this is like a near masterpiece. Like there's like very little things I would chase. I never really read Little Women. I've read parts and excerpts in class, but I never read it as a book. So maybe I'd be mad if I read the book first and be like, oh, they changed stuff. But I really enjoyed this and I loved it. And just every aspect of it was amazing. Such a wonderful film. Obviously, it's just definitely, hopefully she goes back to kind of like more auteur or more like indie stuff, but it seems like she's very going heavily into the studio big system, which hopefully she goes back into some more stuff like this, even though this was really big at the time. I do like her doing like more drama and like non-IP stuff.
yeah. I enjoyed Little Women a lot. I think I may have seen it in theaters, but my recollection is fading.
Mm-hmm.
But it has been a few years for me,
Yeah, that
since it
was
came out.
pre us watching movies together.
Yeah, right. This is 2019, but I remember it being a really well done film,
Mm-hmm.
and um, you reminded me, like, I forgot Emma Watson was in it. I
Yeah.
just remember Saoirse Ronan and Florence
Uh,
Pugh for sure.
Timothy Chalamet. I didn't say his name. Come on,
Yeah,
it's Chalamet. I
Meryl
don't think he's done
Streep.
like a bad role.
Surprisingly, Bob Odenkirk, who,
Yeah.
surprise, surprise, actually, we got to meet recently for a
Mm-hmm.
book signing. That's a whole nother
Yes.
story, but
A whole nother story.
but yeah, really well done film.
Yeah.
One that just hearing you talk about it and hearing how much you enjoyed it makes me want to rewatch it. And I think it's one of those films that I think does have that certain element of rewatchability because of just how enjoyable it is to watch at times.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like there is sad parts, but it's just like a journey of a film and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Um it's like not as sad Iron Claw.
There you go. Yeah, sisters. The
Yeah.
Iron Sisters.
I was a sister once.
Oh no. He
um
went there.
so it's me again, right? I think yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep
so
going.
now I gotta leapfrog you and okay, where was I? Right over Little Women, we watched The Ref, and then the other movie that we watched the same night as The Ref, I already talked about. So I'm just gonna say what it was. It was To Live
Oh
and Die in
yeah, we
L.A.
already talked about this.
Yeah, we talked
I
about it in
forgot.
November because I watched it at Alamo, 4K remaster, and then Dylan got the 4K from shout out GameFly. Shout out GameFly as a disc rental service. Please sponsor us, GameFly. We love you. And an honorary good standing member, Dylan over here. Him and Aaron got to see it for the first time. I watched it again and I still liked it, and I watched it like a month before. So, I rated it the same, and I 4 out of 5. I love me some Friedkin, baby. And so then my next technical movie I will say is How to Blow Up a Pipeline. Now that is my sleeper pick of the year.
Ooh.
This film is in my top 10 still, and I've seen 60 movies and almost every narrative feature film that's nominated like in the Oscars, if you can base it on that merit. But just like I've seen a lot of the movies from last year. and this is still in my top 10. I think it was great. Um, the director, I don't know if this was his. Okay, so he did Cam. If you know what movie that was, it was a about a cam girl who's like gets replaced by herself on a stream. And it's like a horror movie. But yeah, this is like his first real one that he's doing as like outside of a horror. He's going back to horror with his next film, which is Faces of Death, a remake. Don't know what that's gonna do. Got a very weird cast. You can look at that up. But yeah, this was amazing. It's very obviously a commentary on environmentalism and kind of like the anarchism of fighting against a losing battle that you know is happening, but what can you do against that losing battle that might do something to eventually change and get the message that you need? And it's very interesting. They have people from different backgrounds all over. There's a very good actor in it, Forrest Goodluck, a Native American actor. He was in another movie I saw a long time ago, Miseducation of Cameron Post, but he was also, I think he's in Reservation Dogs, or someone that produced this was in Reservation Dogs. I cannot remember. But yeah, the cast was a lot of people. You'd be like, oh yeah, there's the girl from what's her name? God, this could I'm blanking. Whatever. But yeah, she's got just a lot of cast. Oh, Sasha Lane, she was in American Honey. That's what else. But yeah, it has a lot of people, different backgrounds. You know, there's people that were like poisoned by some environmentalism thing that the government let happen. Like they live next to like a refinery of some sort. Then there's a guy who got his land eminent domain to build a pipeline. Then there's a Native American guy who's lives near oil rigs and he's kind of like wants to destroy this, and he's like kind of a pyromaniac that's played by Forrest Goodluck. I think Forrest Goodluck definitely an actor to watch out for. He was amazing. He was like, he embodied a very interesting character. I really liked him. The country guy was really good too. Lucas Gage. Oh no, not Lucas Gage. He was they're like Portland anarchist couple. They were pretty interesting. They had the dude. Oh, what movie was this from? I forget what movie. The guy from Blackish was in this. He's like the older son. He was good. Jake Weary, that's who I was thinking of. Jake Weary, you know from It Follows. He was really good in this. I forget who he's in It Follows. He was like a supporting character, but I really liked him. And he was good. But yeah, I definitely just overall, it's a really well told film. The special effects are really good. The story is really good. It has a cool ending, kind of what it's trying to go for, and kind of the message it's trying to represent. I definitely one of my favorite like lesser seen films from the year. But I can see how people, some people might not like it. Well, whatever. Obviously, it's a inherently political film, so obviously, if you don't agree with the message, some people are hard to get into films. But I really enjoyed it, and definitely excited to see what this guy will do. Though his next film is very weird. So I don't know. I don't know what I'll do with watching that film. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it has the dude from the new guy, the metal dude from Stranger Things. You watched the new season, right?
I have not seen the newest
Oh
season.
yeah, so he's the new guy from Stranger Things, Charlie XCX, Josie Tota, and Barbie Ferreira.
All right.
Crazy class. And Josie Tota has not really acted that much. They're another trans actress. They were really popular in Disney back in the day. Barbie Ferreira as well, another actress from Euphoria. Dacre Montgomery is the guy I was talking about. And then the
okay.
freaking singer Charlie XCX. So I'm very interested in that film. But
yeah,
that's off.
Dacre Montgomery was in the previous season of Stranger Things, so I recognize
Yeah,
that
that's
name.
no. He was only in the newest season 4.
No, he was before that. He's in like I distinctly remember that like swimming pool scene where he's like a lifeguard.
Oh, am I
Like
thinking about I'm thinking about the wrong actor, dude. So
okay,
that's my bad.
that's all right.
I'm thinking of the metal guy. I thought Dacre Montgomery was that. Oh yeah, he's the Bully brother. Yeah, he's dead. What am I talking about?
Yeah, I was like, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
I was thinking of the metal guy. He's in a new movie. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, that was crazy. Yeah. That was a great film. Definitely recommend it. Off on my misinformed tangent there.
That's okay.
Um,
we always have a little bit of that,
yeah. And
But
then yeah,
on
we go back to you. Ball's in your court.
yes, but I will say two things about Hannibal Pipeline. One, I am very intrigued to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Two, Jake Weary played the boyfriend of Michael Monroe at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
and the character who passes on the following monster
Yeah,
thing
yeah. I really,
creature.
yeah. He was really good in that, and he's like playing like a gruff, like Southern guy. So I was pretty surprised. I was like, oh, it's that guy from It Follows. Wow, he looks very different. But it's been like 10 years almost.
Well, the fact that I also haven't seen Cam, but knowing the
Mhm.
same director made Cam,
Yeah,
that's
I kind
really
of want to see
interesting.
Cam now.
Yeah, that makes me want to watch it. It's on
Yeah,
Netflix, so
yeah. It was a
um,
Netflix drop. I think in 2019.
yeah. But on to my next movie. Here's one I don't think you've seen. We were just talking about all these 2023 films that you've seen. Boom, boom, boom. Air, as in the
Oh
Air
yeah.
Jordan's biopic about the story behind the deal that got Nike the Air Jordan shoe when they convinced Michael Jordan to sell, to work with them and create the Air Jordan instead of Adidas or what was the other?
Reebok, Converse,
Not Reebok. No,
Puma.
I think it was Converse. I'm blanking on that, but definitely not Adidas. So Air is a very good film. It's very well paced, well directed. Ben Affleck is back, with his signature. Matt Damon in the lead, and then a couple other guys you don't see as often these days, like Chris Tucker's, and he's great. Um, what I enjoyed the most about Air, Viola Davis, who plays Michael Jordan's mom.
Hmm.
Um, what I enjoyed most about the film was the way they were able to secure the deal and how they went about doing that. Matt Damon is a very like smart sports like analyst. Like he can watch something on TV and see like the greatness that Michael Jordan was going to become just by the way he handled a very particular moment in his career. And so he takes this ginormous leap to essentially put all of Nike's weight and money on getting him. And when they were at such a terrible point in their, like no one cared about Nike at this time. This was everything was Adidas, everything was Converse. It wasn't happening.
Hmm.
Um, so it was really cool to see like that era, and also the way they went about doing the film. That Michael Jordan is not really in it. He is, but they never actually show his face, and you might hear him say like a line or two, which are pretty like crucial moments, but like you never really see him. But they have like some really great like legacy footage they use from his life to emphasize a very particular key scene to like essentially convince him to do it.
Hmm.
And that scene alone I thought deserved the film some kind of recognition. So that another one of those Oscar snubs that
Hmm.
I kind of underrated, overlooked films that
Yeah.
is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I feel like it's one of the better biopics. I feel like a lot of them just get grouped together. Like people haven't watched like Blackberry, which is awesome, and Air, which I've heard good things from. Just because there's like ones like Tetris and Flaming Hot Cheetos coming
And
out,
Barbie.
and yeah, and
A
it's
lot of
like,
product movies this year. This was the year of
well,
them.
those aren't. Yeah, they're like this. Those ones are more. These are more like biopics compared to Barbie, like biopics about the origins of a brand.
Oh, one for sure.
Yeah, which is
I just meant that every one of
yeah,
these things was at times some kind of
yeah.
product.
They're doing a lot of story behind the product movies. Like there's a Pop Tart one coming out.
Oh my
It's
god.
just like there's good ones, but they're kind of have to be in that realm but like some of the stories are actually interesting, and some of them just aren't. There was like a
Yeah.
there was a Beanie Baby one. Like what the hell are we doing? Some of
Huh.
these don't need stories,
No.
as you know. Dumb Money is one as well.
Well, what was
Uh,
next on your list, sir?
Godzilla, the
Minus
one that
one? Are we going to
yeah
save that?
-1. This is the one that we both watched.
Okay.
This is the second time I saw Godzilla -1, and it was
Oh,
with
oh,
Dylan.
right, right. That's what you meant.
Yes, yes. So Godzilla -1, simply, one of the best Godzilla movies, one of the best disaster movies, um, and just a great message overall. I am a Godzilla fan by exposure. My cousin Elliot, shout out Elliot. He's in a band called Killer Couture, metal band. But yeah, he was a huge Godzilla guy. He had like all the freaking figures. We would play Godzilla on PS2, and I watched a lot of them with him back then and got like really into them. He was like 2 years older than me, and then I got really into them. I really liked them, and then this came out. I was hyped for it. Saw it with my coworker when it had its IMAX limited showing in the East Bay, and it was just awesome. I mean, it's just so grandiose in scale. The visuals are insane for what it is, and it's just very passable compared to a lot of the CGI we have in America coming out from Hollywood nowadays. It's essentially like a great riveting war drama as well. Like you wouldn't expect that coming from this, but it is like very much so that. Um, and the characters are like super, just like you want to root for them, you love them. They all like very like well done, fleshed out, and they all have like very, very shown goals that they want. They're very, they're what they want, what they're there for, and they're just well done, and they all play off each other very well. And it's just such a well written script, and everything just beats perfectly into the next thing, and it has a wonderful ending, but one of the most like devastating shots at a point with like just utter devastation and loss a character experience, and it's just insane. And that kind of like reoccurring theme that he has, and like the mentality he kind of is forced into because of situations that have happened to him, like this cowardice. It's just amazing. It's definitely one of my favorite films of the year. Um, and just definitely one of the best Godzillas ever. I think top 3, top 2, Shin Godzilla, this and the original are definitely the best.
As someone who's only seen Shin Godzilla as well as of the Toho Godzillas, I've only seen Shin Godzilla and Godzilla minus one. It's hard for me to like have a strong comparison because I still have yet to see the original. But I think when I look at, I've been, it's definitely way up there
Killing.
on my watch list. I know. I have seen King Kong, 1930s.
Put him down.
So I think for me, it's trying to watch it from the perspective of it just being a good film and not like a great Godzilla film. I think that's sort of the approach I had, and it really surprised me. I went in hearing a lot of great things, and I agree that like it has such strong characters and storytelling and motivations, and I really love this is the first time I've ever truly understood the idea of Godzilla and how he could be used, like why he was significant historically and the creation of him.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only thing I've ever learned from any American Godzilla films is that he's a giant monster attacking a city,
Mm-hmm.
and all the human characters are lame. So
Yeah.
this movie has great characterization, lots of great supporting characters aside from our lead who's going through all these battles internally during the film. But I love the family dynamic. I love seeing this like not really a family to turn into a family with, a man who invites a woman to just live with him who found a child that was she saved from the mother and just basically adopted the child, and they just became a family, and he can't admit that he like loves her. There's this whole like,
Mm-hmm. Because he has, the character has like this internal struggle, and he like can't accept that he deserves something good because of what has happened in the past, and as well as he doesn't want people to be subjected to what he has happened to him because it could happen again, he thinks.
Yeah, and I love that the film too is finally the first recognized Godzilla film at the Academy with being nominated for Best Visual Effects was really cool to see that.
Yeah,
and we had Japan had an amazing year of films. At almost at the same time, we had both The Boy and the Heron and Godzilla minus one in like the top 5, top 10 box office, which is incredible.
Hirokazu Koreeda didn't even get his film nominated this year, which was
Perfect Days
Monsters.
or Monster.
Yeah,
Wim Wenders. Yeah,
Wim Wenders did Perfect Days, which he's German, but he did a Japanese film. So people were like, bleh, but also Koreeda has been nominated a couple times. So it's like,
It was a tough list because they can only, if it's going to just best international, they can only submit one film, and
Yeah,
they probably submitted Perfect Days,
they picked
right?
Perfect Days. Koreeda obviously has been nominated like I think twice for Japan, and he won for what did he win for, or did he never win? I can't remember. Is Koreeda the one that did Shoplift? I know he did Shoplifters, but did he do Drive My Car? No, he just did Shoplifters. He did Broker, and he was nominated for Nobody Knows or
Oh yeah,
something
we never
something
saw
else.
Broker. That
Never
bums
saw
me out.
Broker. Fun fact: I got the cardboard cutout from the movie theater of that, and we cut out King O's song and put him up in my friend's dorm.
Hmm.
And so he had they'd walk by and just yell at King. They put a little name over him. Everybody had to greet him when they'd walk into their dorm.
That's funny.
But yeah, definitely. Just I mean, to put it simply, definitely one of the best Godzillas. It was great. If you haven't seen it too, watch the Godzilla -1 crew, seeing that they won visual effects because they're
Mm.
sitting at a table, and then at the front of the table they have the little Godzilla figures, and they're watching with them. It's so cute.
Yeah, it's a great reaction video.
Yeah.
It will just like warm your heart.
Mhm. So then one more
Yeah.
really quick. Mouse Hunt. Uh, I was staying at a cabin up on the coast, up in North Humboldt. No, sorry, North Mendocino County. Uh, and Mouse Hunt is has a special place in my heart because it was one of my favorite movies as a child. And I think it's one of the best like modern like slapstick comedies. It's so weird and so funny. It's like it's kind of dark for a kids movie. Like it starts off with their dad they're taking his casket out of his funeral and they drop him and he goes down the sewer is the intro. It's freaking hilarious. And it's Nathan Lane and Lee Evans.
Oh yeah.
It's a great cast. It's just all these misfortunes happen to them, and then the only thing they have left from their dad if they lose everything is his old house, and is infested with a mouse. And that mouse is, as Nathan Lane says, Hitler with a tail. And they hire an exterminator that is played by Christopher Walken. It is just crazy slapstick destruction of this house that they built just for this film. It's directed by Gore Verbinski, who did the Pirates of the Caribbean, good movies. And so it's just great. If you haven't seen it, it's just fun to put on. If you have kids, definitely have them watch it when they're like 6 or older. It's just, I love this. I probably burnt the tape because I played it so much as a child. But yeah, definitely great. Just a fun film. It was fun to watch. I watched it with my sister because we used to watch it as a kid.
I do have nostalgia for that film too.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, but I can like distinctly remember a moment when I was watching it at some hotel or something.
You're right at the age too. You're like 7 or 8, right? 97.
Yeah, exactly.
I was negative
yeah,
1.
I was like 6. Yeah. Oh, I'm old.
On to
Well,
you.
yeah. The next film that I watched was one of my favorites of the month, which was long overdue for me, and that was the anime anthology, best anime anthology I think ever made, 1995's Memories. And that film has 3 different short stories. You have a film called Magnetic Rose, which was from Katsuhiro Otomo, who did Akira. It was his story, along with music from Yoko Kanno, who's most known for both, like Evangelion and Cowboy Bebop, as well as countless other anime, and Satoshi Kon's script. That film is like 40 minutes long, and it is just incredible. Like every minute of that film is a visual splendor, and it's so interesting. They just did a remastered version, both with a brand new English dub and new visuals, and it's just really good. The rest of the film, the other 2 shorts, are also really interesting and good as well. Let's see, Stink Bomb and Cannon Fodder are all both really interesting. Yeah, I can't believe I took so long to see it. Must watch for anime fans out there.
Yeah, I think I watched it around the same time I watched the very well done Metropolis as well, which I think we'll end up watching soon.
Yeah.
Because our friend Aaron hasn't seen it. But yeah, very good. I liked it. Was very good. I liked watching them both around at the same time. It felt very nice, very visually similar.
Mm-hmm.
Though stories are very different, but kind of weird sci-fi, fun sci-fi at
Yeah.
points. Definitely enjoyed it. Now I have a movie that I watched back then with Omar, and then you ended up showing you guys really recently, called Fatal Termination.
Oh.
This is a very crazy, I think, Hong Kong cinema. I don't want to be wrong, but I think it's Hong Kong
Taiwan?
police. Hong Kong. It's a Hong Kong and then like Taiwanese actors as well, because it has a lot of people from Shaw Brothers in it as well. Which is what's his name? Oh God, Philip Ko. Philip Ko, great actor. He was in Enter the Dragon for a little bit, which we also watched recently. But yeah, you may know the one of the guys from this. What was his name? Oh God, he was whatever
Oh,
in
yeah.
Mortal Kombat. Robin Shaw.
Robin Shaw, yeah.
Yeah, Robin Shaw. So Robin Shaw's in this as the crooked customs agent, and this movie is just insane. It's like full of just campiness and weird, and you kind of like don't know where the movie's going, but all the violence is just, all the choreography and stuff is crazy. You're like, what the hell? And then you just have like the craziest stunts going on just all over, and it's just insane. Like, you got to go into this movie blind. This was a beautiful redone remaster scanned by Error 4444. I don't know if I'm supposed to say 4,444, but they're a new studio. They're doing a lot of weird East Asian cinema, a lot of Japanese, Hong Kong, a little bit of Chinese so far. Just, I love their studio. I've been buying like most of their releases. They're just such well done, like lower level stuff. But yeah, this is a run and gun, shoot everyone movie with insane stunts. One of the most deadliest stunts you'll ever seen, craziest stunts you'll ever seen. I think Dylan can attest to that.
Yeah. I just saw
Don't look it up
your
unless you don't want to watch this movie, which I think is dumb.
if you want to
But
see it, go watch Lucas's Instagram story right now. No, just kidding.
yeah, it is. Yeah, this is insane. It's just such a fun film. You have to watch it with people because you're just gonna be laughing because some of the acting's terrible. Like, there's a scene where someone dies and the cop goes to the guy's funeral and is like, "You're crooked just like your brother," and his brother's the one dead in the casket. He's like, that coward son of a bitch is dead, and I'm glad he is. And this guy's like, "What are you doing at my brother's funeral?" And then they like get in a fight. It's just, oh my God, there's crazy. The guy like saws off half of his car when his brother dies on top of it, and then he chases after the guy who shot him. It's like crazy. Oh my God, yeah. The ending is great. I think Dylan's roommate was there when we watched this, and there's a scene where there's two helicopters, and they kept yelling, "Go lower!" And then one of them gets blown up, and then right after they get back to the other guy, after the other one gets shot with like an RPG, and he's like, "Go lower!" And the Jafe just started dying.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check this out if you want to watch like one of the craziest, weirdest, just insane action movies from this era of Hong Kong cinema that
Yeah,
John Woo definitely inspired these people to make. Also, fun fact, that stunt coordinator that did this movie, it was 19 years old when he did it. Insane.
Yeah, definitely a movie that could not be made today.
Yeah, definitely not. That would be...
But yeah, on your note, yeah, Robin Shaw is known for Liu Kang in the 1995 for Mortal Kombat. And so that was a moment. My review on Letterboxd is basically just me going like, "Oh, that's when he takes off his glasses," and I just instantly was like, "Oh man, that's Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat."
Yeah, when we were watching it, he didn't notice until he took off his glasses like 30 minutes in the movie. He's like, "That's Liu Kang," and then we're like, "Oh my gosh, you'd fall for the Superman disguise."
Yes, exactly. But yeah, the film, yeah, very. I think when you were talking about the acting, I think the biggest thing I noticed was the dubbing, because
Yeah,
like you can't tell if the acting is bad or the dubbing is just bad or both.
yeah, because we watched it with
it's-
we watched it, and it's in English, or sorry, it's in Cantonese, or I think Cantonese, because it's Hong Kong.
yeah,
But yeah, the ADR at points is freaking so hilarious.
yeah.
And yeah, those were my two. I
Oh,
have a
you
lot
did
more
too.
left. I have a lot more left. I just did two. Yeah, I did. That was Mouse Hunt and Fatal Termination. So up you.
All right. Well, I'll be brief on my next one. I watched Rustin, which
okay.
is an Oscar-nominated film this year.
Haven't watched it.
Yes, it is starring Coleman Domingo as activist Bayard Rustin, and he was basically the film centers a lot around racism and homophobia, and he's trying to help change the course of the civil rights history when he's trying to orchestrate the 1963 March on Washington. And So you see his relationship with Martin Luther King, and the film. While I found it really interesting and historically significant, particularly for the representation of a character that of a person that has such a significant role in one of the greatest events we've seen in United States history. Um, I think the film itself falls under its own sort of cliches of like being like a movie that just felt like they needed to make it just for the sake of
Mm-hmm.
making it. Like we need to have like a great act. So for people who don't know, Coleman Domingo, he is, I believe, an openly gay man, and he's playing a gay character, which is great. And it just feels like the film though is like just trying to sort of sell itself on the fact that it's like it has this representation. It doesn't feel like as a whole like a movie that's just like really that like entertaining
Yeah,
at
not
times.
into its like own story as well. It's just trying
Yeah.
to like do it. And I feel like I'm good about the touch on that subject because one of my next movies is by that same production company.
Oh, interesting. But
Yeah.
yeah, really all I have to say is Coleman Domingo is excellent in the movie. He absolutely deserves his Oscar nomination. But a
Hmm.
movie that like I'm glad I saw it, but I don't really feel like it's that strong of a film, and it's hard to like recommend it beyond just the historical significance.
Hmm.
So,
So not that one, but what am I doing? My next one is I Blame Society. I'm gonna be real quick with this one. I don't want to spoil anything. Um, this is a movie that came out in 2020. It's by a very not young. It's by a very unknown director that got very some acclaim for this film. And it's about a woman who's a up and coming or not up and coming, a floundering director in Hollywood, and their friend tells them in a compliment. They're like, "Oh, hey, you'd make a good serial killer," as like a backhanded joke. And then that's the whole plot of the film. Is she sits down her best friend and she's like, whatever their name said, I was a good be so good be I would be a good serial killer. And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, I would kill your girlfriend first. And she's like, this is part of the film. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? That is so, and it's just this very weird meta comedy because she's filming everything and doing everything, and she gets tasked to make a film and stuff like that. It's just so weird. It's very endearing, very interestingly written, and it was just such a weird film to watch. Very going in blind. I definitely recommend it. Under 90-minute, weird meta comedy. Um, I really like the director. She won a Spirit Award for best film under $500,000 at the Indie Spirit Awards. So for this movie. So yeah, I definitely like it. Very, very feels like you're just watching someone run around with a camera. Like a previous film I talked about during our October recap, Murder, Death, Koreatown. It has that same vibe, but this one's like a horror comedy. Very, very much fun.
what was this
Uh,
one called?
I Blame Society. I got
Oh, right.
the very quick. Lucas running over to see if he can grab this without knocking everything over. I got the brand new Blu-ray special edition. I think it's Vinegar Syndrome, or I don't know. Oh no, I just got it. It's pretty cool. This is the
Ooh.
cover. It has a way better cover than the one that I have. I haven't opened it because me and Omar watched it on DVD. But yeah, pretty cool. Really nice slip sleeve. Yeah.
Ooh.
Definitely recommend checking this out. I think it's on streaming somewhere. Uh, it's on Shutter and like Amazon. But
Okay.
yeah, definitely fun. And then next is the one that was also produced by the same company as Rustin, called Leave the World Behind with Ethan
Mm.
Hawke. Directed by, I think, a director I really like. Yeah. So this one, sadly, I really like Sam Esmail. He did Mr. Robot. I didn't like this movie. It's not that good. Very, very shallow, hollow message. Kind of just felt like a film that was made to be a film. Like, hey, we need a film. Here's a script. Here's a lot of money. So the story behind this is that this is Obama's new production company, and it feels like a lot of their early films are just them padding out movies that sound good, or like putting them on streaming stuff. They're just like, hey, we need something that'll interest people, and we need to like make money or just pad out our company and release these. And they're kind of just getting like garner just because they're his company, obviously because he's a really big figure in America. And this one was not good. It got a lot of people watched it because it was on Netflix. Pretty much is the only reason. And it got like all talked up on like the TV shows and all that stuff, but it's not that good. Really good cast though: Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon, and then some young actors. The real only thing I learned from this movie is that physical media is awesome, because that's the ending of the movie. Not to spoil it, but yeah, physical media is the way to go. So buy your copy of I Blame Society. Uh, but yeah, it was just wasn't that good. It was not good. It's like 2.5 hours almost too. It's like very much not that. It feels you come out of that and like I was very disappointed. And I feel like Sam Esmail hasn't really done too much good since he did Mr. Robot, and so he's kind of like running around in his own shadow, just making stuff that is very much far less what his capabilities seem to be.
Hmm. Well, I'm going to do a quick recap of not the last three, but the three movies I watched for Christmas this year,
Oh, nice.
because I know some people will either care about that and some people won't.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched When Harry Met Sally, which is a rewatch, a film I greatly enjoy, and as I get older, I continue to really enjoy even more for its simplicity, but also just the questions it raises about relationships. And
Uh-huh.
it's such a cozy Christmas film, so well written and just fun. It has a lot of iconic scenes and dialogue. And it's a movie I love to think about from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
A Christmas Story as well. One of my personal favorite Christmas films. I know Lucas, hot take, isn't a big fan, but one of those that I would watch every year on TV. And then um, it's every single scene I like. There's like probably the most quotable film. Literally every scene you could quote. Um, but probably my favorite Christmas film, though, out of the three, the last one is my 100% annual watch is Charlie Brown Christmas. Shorter because it's more of a special, but I like to consider it a film.
I just think
I'm
of
a
the Nirvana the Band the Show skit. I don't know if I showed you it or if you saw my Instagram story when I posted it.
mm,
They do a piano sessions. Nirvana Band the Show. Blackberry director Matt Johnson, old show. Anyway, they have like little skits where they'll do piano music and do stuff in the background, and one of them is Jay playing the whole song.
oh,
It's
that's so
great.
good.
I'll show it to you.
Yeah, and so that's just that one hits home for me because my mom and I would watch it every year. This
Mm-hmm.
is the first year I watched it without her, and it's something I just feel compelled to see for both of us, and but it's such a classic. I think my favorite though will always be It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit biased being born on Halloween, but you know how it goes. So that's my Christmas recap.
Rad. Yeah. I'm very far from Christmas right now. So after Leave the World Behind, I watched a little known movie called A Moon Garden. Moon Garden is a dark fantasy about a 5-year-old girl who ends up in a coma after an accident, and it's kind of like a labyrinth hell that
Whoa.
she ends up in, but it's not like mean hell. It's kind of like just really creepy and weird practical effects. Um, just really cool film. If you really like that like 80s practical effects, dark fantasy stuff, it's definitely check it out for that. This is the guy's like first movie in 12 years, and he did this. He's an artist mostly, so it definitely feels like it falls into that because it's like all these grandiose, like creepy sets, and it has a kind of like obviously like that labyrinth, kind of like that kind of feels like a lesser of like Legend as well. All those like weird 80s practical effects movies, definitely check this out. It gets kind of like unnerving at times. You're like, ooh, this is really creepy. These characters are weird. Like one of them is like this floating guy with just like dentures for teeth floating. But yeah, the story's cute. You're really there for the visuals, but the story services what it needs to, and I enjoyed it. If you like practical stuff, as I keep saying, definitely check it out. I like this film. I'd say it's kind of like a lesser, not as great. Obviously, I love Wolf House, this movie from Chile. It's kind of in the vein of a lesser of that, but in the same like kind of like cool, practical, really awesome visual effects. Definitely kind of like Alice in Wonderland story type. But yeah, definitely definitely would recommend that if you want kind of a weird, quirky indie movie. And then after that, I watched Smoking Causes Coughing. Now this movie's freaking weird. But you're like, what the hell? Smoking Causes Coughing. Lucas, who directed that? The guy who directed Rubber. And if you don't know what movie that is, this guy is a weird director. He does very weird movies. Rubber's about a sentient tire, and Smoking Causes Coughing is about a Power Rangers esque team that is all symptoms of lung cancer is their powers, and they give people lung cancer as their like uniting power, and they die. Um, but you're like, oh wow, that's weird. Yeah, but that's not the point of the movie. They kind of like introduce that, and then it goes into people being told stories, and you watch those stories happen, but they're being told in by this group or to this group by someone else, and it's all these just weird, insane stories. Very weird movie. It's 77 minutes long. If you want just weird, wacky, what the hell am I watching? Smoking Causes Coughing is definitely there. I don't know if there's that much substance. There's nothing really that you get from it. It's just freaking weird, and it's Quentin Dupieux. I'm bad at French. Just being weird like usual. But yeah, that was an interesting film. But I think it fits right in its runtime perfectly.
Interesting. I'll let you keep going for a bit. I only got two
Cool.
more.
Okay, cool. Then I watched Maestro. I don't know if you watched that.
Which one?
Maestro. Did you
Oh,
watch
that's
that?
on my list. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Maestro. I watched this with a person, and it was cool theater. But I liked it when I watched it, and then I think back on it, and I'm like, I didn't really like that. I feel like at points Bradley Cooper got exaggerated, and I feel like you really like the music. And oh god, what's her name?
Carey Mulligan.
Carey Mulligan. Thank you, Carey Mulligan. I almost said Michelle Williams. I always do that. Carey Mulligan. In it, she's so great. And she elevates Bradley Cooper. I found the nose distracting at time. I know that's like something that's a big talking point with this film. It was distracting at points. But Bradley Cooper feels like a caricature at points. Caricature of like a flamboyant 40s man where he's like, "Oh, hello." He's like, "How are you, my love?" And then he's like just going to these just doing all this stuff, and like he feels not that realistic, though his acting in like when he's doing the conducting is like very well done. It kind of conflates with and kind of destroys his own acting at other points. Though there's a really great argument between the two characters on Thanksgiving that I really like. But I feel like this movie could have been shorter.
Hmm.
I feel like that's a lot of comments when I don't like a movie, but like I feel like you say that when you just think a lot of stuff doesn't need to be in this film, so it could be done a different way. But like a lot of the stuff at the summer house where he's just bringing his like boy toys over, and you're just like the family interacting with all that stuff, and you're just like, well, this doesn't really service that much plot that much. It's just furthering that there's a divide between the wife and the husband, and Bradley Cooper isn't that great in this. Carey Mulligan's a more interesting character, and I definitely feel like it's the weaker of the Oscar noms that have gotten a lot of noms this year, and that's just because the Oscars like to vote for biopics about big famous people or important things, and I feel like that's fallen into that category. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it was that great. It
Yeah.
was it was fine.
Yeah. It falls into that most Oscar bait worthy film of the year
Mm,
movie for me.
yeah.
Um, and while I like Bradley Cooper and I think he's a great director, and I love Carey Mulligan, I think she was amazing in the film. Um, it's a film that when I initially watched it, I think I definitely admired it more than I liked it, and I agree that it at times it does really drag. I found myself struggling to like stay awake during it because
Mhm.
at times it does have it does have an element of just being boring. Like a movie that's
Yeah.
like almost intentionally boring.
There like was
um,
not enough music. And
yeah,
they did the music in chunks. You'd be like, oh, here's like 5 minutes of just him conducting. It's like, why can't you have like it throughout? Like the score's well and there's like stuff, but like I don't think Cooper's directing is that great either. He does a lot of the same shots because he likes them. Here's like, here's a door transition, here's a crane shot, and you're like, oh, I've seen that 2 times in this film already. You're kind of like falling into your same conventions for in transitions, and you don't know how to get one scene to go to the next without making something fancy or musical out of it.
yeah. I think um, he does certain things really well, but I do think he struggles at times in this film to I think he probably had a hard time managing being the face of the movie as well as being behind the camera, because I think
Hmm.
it's a lot to ask to do that much, and
Yeah.
you definitely see it, especially in some of those really awkward close up shots where
Yes. Too many.
and yeah, and I think like Carey Mulligan for sure does carry the film for me and give it enough of a boost to make it through. But
Yeah.
it's definitely one of those that I don't see myself returning to. I'm glad I watched it, and it was really interesting to learn about. Um, oh, yeah, Leonard Bernstein,
Hmm.
because I forgot how much like how much he contributed to uh, music, and
Yeah, yeah. West Side Story,
yeah,
like
West Side
in
Story in
film.
particular, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting for me, and like kind of that's the part of it where I feel a little biased toward it because West Side Story is one of my favorite films.
Hmm.
So, but yeah,
You want me to rattle off? I can rattle off three more to
yeah,
get to Christmas.
go for it.
Okay, this one will be really quick. At the Video Store was a documentary that came out in 2019. It is very good. It's kind of a timepiece, which is very interesting because it's video stores right before COVID, which there weren't that many of. I watched it because I worked at a video store and we got it there. 70 minutes. It's just fun to see like what are video stores doing nowadays. And I really liked it. Just definitely check it out. F Blockbuster, because it kind of gives you like a lot of people when they obviously like, oh, Blockbuster nostalgia. It's like this movie shows you like at least from a video store perspective, like Blockbuster is the devil, Redbox is the devil. They're the reason why we don't have video stores anymore, not because of streaming most in hand. Blockbuster put out almost 60 to 70% of mom and pop shops before the streaming apocalypse happened for video stores. And there would be way more around if Blockbuster didn't purposefully put their stores down the road from a mom and pop video store, lower their prices to insane rock bottoms because they could drive them out of business and then put their prices back up and charge you a bunch of late fees. And they're the reason that this industry kind of died the way it did. Um, but yeah, it's a great documentary to just kind of like learn on how they are and where they're going in the future. A lot of them are becoming nonprofits or are like able to survive because they're part of another business. I loved it. Great piece. Then I watched Thief. My most recent 5-star first watch would have been Godzilla, but this 5 out of 5. Thief is a perfect debut. Thief is a perfect movie. If it's uncomfortable to watch nowadays. There's some racial slurs and stuff like that. But it's awesome. James Caan is like one of my favorite actors. I love James Caan, and he's amazing in this. Michael Mann directed the hell out of this. Just the buildup and the points and the arcs and the ambiance and how it's shot. It's just amazing as a whole film. And if you haven't seen Thief, it's awesome. I saw it for the first time in theaters, which was awesome. The new 4K came out from Criterion, and they were showing it, and so I was just like blown away. Like I'd been wanting to watch this movie for like a couple of years, and I'm kind of glad I waited to see it in theaters, and it was amazing. I am. I just definitely in like my top 100 probably now. I loved it. Definitely a film that I'm biased towards just because the subject matter is just really kind of stuff I like. It's kind of like a neo noir in a sense, but about a safecracker, and just go in with that. That's what you need to know. Pretty awesome. Great action and violence too. um, this could be a very quick review. On Christmas Eve, I watched for probably the 20th time It's a Wonderful Life. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's probably the best Christmas movie ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Wonderful
It's
Life.
just a
Come on.
great film.
Yeah,
It's,
you can't beat it. It's just one of the best films. Just a great message and just great everything about it. Jimmy Stewart. He's awesome.
yeah.
And then on Christmas Day, I think Christmas night, I watched They Live by Night, which was on the Criterion channel, Christmas noir, and it's about kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde couple, um, from 1958, or sorry, 1948. It's pretty fun. Kathy O'Donnell's the female in it. She's kind of notable. Really really cool, traditional film noir, cool environments that they're in. They kind of don't just stay on the studio set like a lot of film noir do, and so they kind of go out and like do other stuff. More kind of like a doomed romance from the start, but they were able to like make it through it, and it's very beautiful at points. And it's kind of cool because of the aspect of he's a man on the lam, he's on the run, and that kind of makes it nice having that storyline well done alongside this pretty well done romance as well. I really liked it. I was surprised. But I am biased towards film noir. I like film noir, so not doubting that I liked it for that reason. And
Hmm.
then I did watch this the same night. Wow. Okay. Also on Christmas, I watched Babyface, which is
Oh,
1933 Barbara Stanwyck, and this is a pre-code film, Criterion Channel pre-code. Barbara Stanwyck is a woman who has been prostituted out by her father. Then he dies as she's right before she's about to run away. She's like, "Oh, I can definitely run away," and then she kind of becomes this femme fatale. Men get attracted to her, but she just uses them to get further in life. And it's a very short film. It's like 75 minutes. And she's kind of like going up this corporate ladder trying to get further and further, and they kind of show her like become romantically entangled with a man, gets promoted to the next story or two above, and then that man is like still lambing after her, and she's like, I'm done with you, I'm on to the next guy. And it's kind of very promiscuous for the time because it's a pre-code film. You see her in like scantily clad clothing, you see her like going to bed or like post sex with a man. It's very, you're like, oh wow, films like these were coming out until the Hays Code came in. And it's pretty interesting. But yeah, Barbara Stanwyck is just stunning in this, like Jesus, beautiful, uh, interesting story. Kind of like a woman learning that her sexuality is like a power of hers that she can use at her will. Semi-progressive, and then
yeah.
she kind of like actually falls in love with a man, and then she's like, well, all I've done for myself, I can still be a career woman while also falling in love with a man, and that's kind of like what she chooses to do. And it's yeah, pretty cool, pretty interesting. I liked it. The transfer was really good too that they had of it. But yeah, Barbara Stanwyck was very pretty back then. um, do you have any more? I have three more.
I have one more. Would you like a break?
I can do this one because it'll be really easy. Equalizer 3, better than Equalizer 2, not better than Equalizer 1. Good violence. Denzel Washington trying to speak Italian in Italy. Funny. There's a crazy scene though. Some guy gets his hand chopped off. The violence was pretty good, but you're starting to get to that point where you're like, Denzel, you're kind of too old to be in action movies. Go back to doing some fun dramas or thrillers. But
I
yeah,
feel that
I
way.
watched it.
I was gonna say I feel that way looking at the poster.
Yeah, I watched it with my dad, and it was fun. Definitely, that if John Wick didn't come out, I don't think we would have got two more of these movies.
Mm,
but
yeah.
yeah, definitely. It's if you like the first one, you'll probably like this one more than the second one.
Okay. Yeah, I've still yet to see any of the Equalizer films.
Oh yeah, definitely check out the first one. It's fun.
Um, so one other film, my last film of the year, I watched on, I guess, New Year's Eve. Yeah, because I watched it on the way home to back from London.
Yeah, he was driving, watching a movie.
Flew. So you haven't seen this one, and it's one of my best of the years. Uh, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Um,
Snub.
yes, yeah, I didn't even think about that. So, this is probably my favorite family film of the year. It really comes down to like a coming of age story based on the classic Judy Blume novel. Um, but I think, I didn't relate to Margaret and what she went through as a young woman in that age, but I related to what she went through in um, dealing with her family dynamics because she was raised by a Jewish father and a Christian mother who both allowed her to choose whichever religion or no religion. And she eventually reaches an age where she starts questioning um, whether she wants to convert to either one. And so she starts experimenting. She goes out with one of her grandparents to temple, and then she eventually goes to church and just starts to question like whether any of those are really something she is interested in. But in the meanwhile, in the backdrop is her. Well, that was more the backdrop, but the main elements of the film deal with that life as a like 15-year-old or 15-year-old. Is she like 12? I don't remember, but she's young, and basically going through puberty. And she just, you see what like her and her friends are all into at that age, and it's just such a fun, lighthearted film that's just delightful to watch at times, and also pretty dramatic when it comes to you learn that her mother doesn't talk to her parents anymore because her parents are very strong devout Christians, and they were upset that she married a Jewish man. And so there's this huge, thing that I just was very curious in my own. I wasn't raised with any religion, but I've since realized, both my parents had different religious backgrounds at different times in their lives. So it's just something that really connected with me, the questioning aspect. And that's what this film really does well, is questioning life and life choices
Mm-hmm.
and religion and all sorts of stuff. So
Oh, cool.
very enjoyable.
Back to me.
Back to you to
I got
close
two.
it out.
Two.
Yeah.
I watched the Chinese film Goodbye Dragon Inn. It's about on a dark and rainy night. This Taiwanese film, or Taiwanese theater, is showing an 1967 martial arts film called Dragon Inn, and that's the only movie it's showing. It's an 80-minute movie, the actual movie, Goodbye Dragon Inn, and it's kind of like about like a methodical process of like moving past, and kind of like the history and the people who had been in and inhabited a place, and kind of like that place standing still in that part of time. It's a very slow cinema for a short film. Slow cinema, a lot of long shots, long static shots of people walking around, just inhabiting this space. And then there's kind of like these ghost characters, not creepy or anything. They're just like returning to this place that they once used to go to. And it's very interesting, very, very cool, very well done. It feels almost like one of those cozy films. The ending's just wonderful. The director, he's done some notable films that you wouldn't know the name of. We were almost going to watch some of them, but we didn't. He did Rebel of the Neon God and Days. He also did The Hole, which I've always wanted to check out. But yeah, I watched this one kind of like on a whim. I forget what it was on. It was on something for free, but it was just pretty funny. You just sit there while it's raining outside, and you kind of watch this, and you kind of like just drift in and out of it. And it's very cool. It's very like, feels like a religious piece of like cinema, because it's like about cinema and about like times past and kind of being in a place and moving past that or forward or reminiscing on it. It was really interesting. Not what I expected it was going to be about. But working in a video store and kind of having that experience then, as well as working in a theater right now at points, is really really cool.
That one sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it was. I was not expecting that at all. It was really short. It felt like it was longer just because I got so like engrossed into it. Longer in a good way. And then after that, I didn't watch anything New Year's Eve. I don't even remember what I did New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
But I
You had a good
ended.
time apparently.
Yeah, I ended up watching Rye Lane, which was one that people really talked about, really liking, um, as a as kind of like a underseen, under talked about film from
Understated.
2023. Yeah, just one that wasn't been like talked about as much as it should have for a comedy. I watched it and I felt it was very fun, but it felt more like a episode of British TV rather than like a movie. Because at the beginning, the movie kind of uses like funny like flashback points at points and stuff like that, and then it kind of just stops doing that when it gets to the second half. Though it's still funny in the second half, it has more of a dramatic aspect, and kind of tonally, the whole film didn't feel as cohesively similar as it could have been. I really enjoyed the first half, and then kind of like when it got to the drama, the second half of like the romance and blah blah blah, I didn't get as into it and kind of fell out of it. And then I kind of just compare it to other like cool satires about like romance and African black characters. And so kind of feels like a British take on like a episode of like Atlanta, or like it feels very like Master of None at points,
Mm.
but like not as well done. It is like this person's first. I don't know if it was the first
I
film,
think
but I
it's a first
really,
feature.
yeah, I really did like it. I just felt like I might have gone into it with higher expectation just because it has like a 4 on like Letterbox and like an 8 on IMDb, or like a really high 7. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna really like this. And I watched it. I was like, oh, that was fun, but it like didn't feel as much as I could have liked it. I really did like the lead actor, the lead male actor, David Johnson. He was hilarious, and he's kind of like a pathetic character at first, and that was really funny. And then the other lady, she was pretty good too. Vivian Opara.
Yeah, that one I definitely heard about, and it was getting some awards this year, so I was
Yeah,
definitely intrigued
exactly.
by it.
It was. I felt like I wanted to. I wanted to like it more, but I just like wasn't as into it in the second half. But I still did enjoy it, and I feel like that if they go more and if she goes more into this and refines this direction, the director, I'll like it. I'll definitely like her later films, but definitely kind of like the stuff I compared it to are more later pieces of media by those people, and I feel like she'll definitely grow into like getting stuff, maybe putting out stuff that's like as good as those.
Mm.
Um, once she gets to that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely is like a good building block, and I would definitely recommend it to someone to check out if they like rom coms, but like non-traditional rom coms.
Mm. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's one I might eventually check out. I
Mm-hmm.
think what's nice, we won't take up too much more of your time here, but I think we actually owed it to you guys. It's been a long time since we had an episode, so you got almost a double episode in
Yeah,
terms
this is
of
pretty
length.
much a double episode, and also it's past half of the movies I talked about in length, so you could have watched one of them.
So, but yeah, that about does it for January, you guys, or what December. We're still.
December,
I say that because we're a day away from the end of January. It's
yeah,
almost February. Holy
I
crap!
feel like we'll get January out sooner, and some more interesting movies that we might talk longer. Not more interesting, more topical movies we'll talk
Yeah.
longer about. I'll drop a teaser of one that we watched yesterday, which is definitely Iron Claw, and then maybe Zone of Interest.
Yes, which
Um,
I plan to see tomorrow.
yes, I
Uh,
saw both of those yesterday, and I'm alive. I'm alive.
he's hanging in there.
I'm hanging in there.
He's about ready to turn this off and start crying
Yeah, just gotta go curl
after.
up into a ball and turn on something fun.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a great idea. Well, we hope all of you have had a great end of your year and are so far having a great 2024. Um, this is going to be an interesting season of awards, as well as hopefully a great year for cinema, physical media. There's a lot to look forward to this year, a lot of changes coming. So we're going to keep, along with watching movies, we're going to keeping up with everything going on in the world of cinema and film.
Yes.
And if there's anything in particular you want us to start talking about in addition, other topics outside of just reviewing film, feel free to reach out. We certainly have our opinions on a lot of things, especially things like streaming, for better or worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with that, is there anything else you wanted to say, Lucas, before we...
No, not really, except for if next episode, our watch with us, I'm thinking is gonna be Iron Claw, because we haven't talked about it. So definitely check that out so you can hear our opinion on it and see if you liked it as much or disliked it.
Yes, that's one that we both really enjoyed, but we have some thoughts.
Yes.
So, well, with that, everybody, I'd say it's time for us to get some rest and call it a night.
Yes.
Thanks again for watching, and we hope to be back very soon and getting back into a groove here so we can put it out more consistently.
Yes, sir.
So, with that, you've been watching another episode of Mile a Minute
Movie talk.